at A Literary Princess, and today I'm doing the end of the year book tag. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea who created this, and none of the people I have looked at seem to know either, so sorry. I was also not tagged, but I did this last year. I want to do it again. This should be coming up on November 2nd, so it seemed like a good time to do it. There are 6 questions. Let's jump in. Question number 1. Are there any books that you've started this year that you need to finish? And boy, are there. First of all, we have Deathless by Catherine M. Valente. I started this in September as a Fairy Tale Friday read, and then it got put on hold for October because Victober. So I am hoping to finish this in November. I am a little less than halfway through it. I'm really loving it. It's a retelling of the fairy tale Koshchei the Deathless, which is a Russian fairy tale. I'm enjoying it so much, but that just didn't get finished in September, nor in October. But definitely want to finish this before the year is out. It's been on my shelves for a really long time, and I would like to say that I've read it. Also, it's just really good. So this is coming up on November 2nd, hopefully, but I'm filming this on October 30th. And as of right now, I have still not finished The Ethelings by Margaret Oliphant, which is one of my Victober reads that I actually started in September to give myself a head start on. We see how that turned out. I am talking about this in my dissertation, so I do in fact need to finish it. Also, I'm really enjoying it. I have to read it on my computer. I'm looking at it on Internet Archive, something like that, because it's an online scanned copy of the original 3-volume edition, and it just hasn't gotten done, but it needs to. And again, I'm gonna be trying to actually finish that in October, so I can say I fully read it for Victober. So hopefully by the time this is up, I've actually finished it, but we'll see. And then the third one that I'm in the middle of is Wolf's Song by TJ Klune. This is a supernatural romance with werewolves that I got on my Kindle because I needed a supernatural romance with werewolves. I am about 30% of the way into it. I've mostly been reading Victorian literature for October, but I have had a few times when I've just sat down with this and read a bit because I was like, I need to not be in Victorian anywhere at the moment. I am enjoying this. I am still very uncomfortable with the romance because there is a really large age gap, and they meet at a time when this age gap is not acceptable. Like, this kid Joe is really young when they meet, like really, really young. And like nothing's happening until he's older, obviously, but I don't know how I feel about this. It's kind of like Jacob Renesmee vibes, except it's not quite as bad because Joe's not a literal infant. But it's kind of weird. I'm waiting to see how the romance will actually develop because it hasn't really yet. But we'll see. I do want to finish it. I am very engaged and interested. I don't know if the writing is necessarily my favorite, but I definitely want to see what happens. So those are the 3 books that I am currently reading that need to be finished by the end of this year. One of them by the end of this month, which ends tomorrow. So, question number 2, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? And I usually do my kind of autumnal transition with books in September or October, and this year is no different. I usually use the dark academia genre as a way to do this, and this year was also no different. So this year it was The Cloisters by Katie Hayes, which actually started on audiobook in July, but then finished in the beginning of September in a physical copy. So this is the story of a recently graduated history student named Anne who is going to have an internship over the summer at the Met, but ends up being sent to the Cloisters, which is this kind of medieval and Renaissance museum, like very gothic and very kind of dedicated to occult stuff. And she falls in with two scholars there, and this is the story of what happened that summer. I loved this. This was giving me everything I needed for my transition into autumn, which I really just need is like academics, people in archives, literature, books, history, that kind of thing. And this book delivered so well. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I wish I had the physical copy to show you because it's a super gorgeous cover, but it was a library copy and I had to give it back. Maybe I'll pick up my own copy because I would like to reread it. My only issue with it was I thought it should be longer. I wanted it to be more developed. I would say, honestly, out of most of the dark academia books I've read, this has kind of gotten closest to what The Secret History was. This and If We Were Villains. Whereas a lot of other stuff kind of gears too much into like mystery or fantasy. This had like the perfect, because there is mystery, but it didn't become just like a mystery novel. So I loved this. It was my perfect little dark academia transition right as the school year was starting. Loved it. Number 3, is there a new release you're still waiting for? No, there is not. The next new release I am looking forward to comes out at the beginning of January. That is Emily Wilde's, I don't remember the title of it, but it's the second book in the Emily Wilde series. And I actually have an e-arc, which I will be reading from. So I am excited for that, but that does not come out until 2024. So no more for 2023. I don't think I had a lot of books I was excited for this year, to be honest. Like, what else even came out this year? I don't know. Question number 4. What are 3 books that you want to read by the end of the year? So I'm really trying to take it easy in these last 2 months, but I do have a few books I want to get to. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is George Eliot, A Life by Rosemary Ashton. And this and the next one were both on my November TBR, so it shouldn't come as a surprise to too many people. I really want to read a biography of George Eliot as part of my George Eliot project. I figured since November is nonfiction November, and my fiction read for the project was a short story, this would be a good time to do it. I would really like to get this done by the end of 2023 because as I move into 2024, I'm going to need to be doing even more reading for my dissertation, and having this kind of out of the way would just be better, even though the George Eliot project is not going to be finished in 2023, but getting a chunky nonfiction book out of the way will be good. Another one from my November TBR is The Plot by Jean Hunt Horowitz. And I do that every time I say her name. I actually had started this, so technically I suppose you could say that this is another book that I need to finish by the end of the year. But I had DNF'd it, and I'm going to be starting from the beginning. But a friend of mine lent this to me, so I would like to get it back to her by the end of the year, because that seems like a nice, proper thing to do, and I certainly like it when people give me my books back. So I shouldn't be a hypocrite. And then the third book, I don't know if I'm going to read all of, but this was actually just recommended to me this morning by my dissertation committee at the defense of my dissertation prospectus, which I passed. Yay! They suggested that I should look at Distant Reading by Franco Moretti. And Moretti is a literary historian, and apparently this is just kind of looking at how we approach literature in different angles, I guess. They felt that my dissertation kind of lends itself to a more distant reading approach than a close reading approach. So they suggested I look at this. I'd never heard of Moretti. I'd never heard of distant reading, like as a concept, much less as a book. So I don't know if I'll read the whole thing, but I'll definitely look at a bit of it and see if this is going to be something that will be useful to me. One of my committee members also said, because of what I am talking about in my dissertation, I will be asked what my opinion on Moretti is, and so I should have something ready to go. So that is something I would like to get to by the end of this year. Question number 5, is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? No. No. I feel like I say that every year. I don't think it happens very often, though. So my favorite book of the year currently, well, I have 3. So Little Thieves and Painted Devils by Margaret Owen are in the top spot. I always count series together. And then The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arikawa is in the second spot. I would honestly be shocked if something knocked those 3 out of their spots. The Traveling Cat Chronicles was on top before I read Painted Devils, and then Little Thieves and Painted Devils went back up to the top. But, I don't think, those 3 are, really solidly where they are right now. I don't think they could be knocked out, but you never know. Maybe distant reading will knock them. I'm obviously not expecting to like that a whole lot, but hey, you never know. And question number 6, have you already started making reading plans for 2024? I was making reading plans for 2024 in January. Let's be real. Now, have those plans remained the same? No, they've been evolving over time. I am going to be doing a list of the 50 books that I'll want to read in 2024. I always make a list of 50 books over on List Challenges, which if you've watched my Victober videos, you know I'm a really big fan of List Challenges. So I'll be doing a whole video on that, but I will give you a little bit of a sneak peek. So first of all, I've been thinking about the fairy tale retellings that I want to read, and I've decided that instead of doing one every month, I'm gonna do one every other month, so it'll be 6 instead of 12, because you might notice that I am not going to end up finishing the Fairy Tale Friday books I wanted to do, and I haven't even started getting the physical posts up on my blog, so so we're just gonna trim that back a little bit. But one that I do want to read is The Book of Gothel by Mary McMinn. I got this for my birthday. This is a retelling of Rapunzel. I love the cover so much. So that is on my list. The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed, which is actually on my list for 2023, but I'm not going to be getting to it. So I loved Ava Reed's Juniper and Thorn, so I expect to really enjoy this. It is a loose retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. And then one that I just got, and that I haven't even filmed the book haul for yet, is The Night Dance by Suzanne Wen. This is a retelling of The 12 Dancing Princesses, which is my favorite fairy tale. I love reading retellings of it. It's just a cute little short. It's the Once Upon a Time series or something. There's a whole bunch of these by different authors. I've read some before. So those are the Fairy Tale Friday reads. And then, of course, we have the George Eliot Project reads. So in January, I will be getting to Felix Holt the Radical, the last of Eliot's full-length novels that I have yet to read. Still have no idea what this is about. we're back to domestic England. Okay. Well, oh well, we'll see what happens. I don't hear anyone talking about this ever, so. For February and possibly March, we'll see how long this takes. It's my nemesis, Middlemarch. Hoping to like it more this time. I would really like to just get it done in 1 month though, because I think part of the problem that I had with it the first time I read it was how long of a time span I actually read it over. So we'll see if I can get it done in just February, maybe. Then for either March or April, depending on what Middlemarch does to me, we've got Daniel Deronda, George Eliot's last full-length book. This is a reread for me. I loved it the first time, so we'll see if it will oust Romola from my favorite George Eliot novel spot. I don't know. And then finally, in either April or May, depending on what Middlemarch does to me, we have Impressions of Theophrastus Such. This is Eliot's last piece of published fiction. It is, I guess, a novella. And it's very experimental, apparently. It is framed as a series of essays by a scholar. And I have no idea what to expect from this book. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but we're gonna find out. So, those are some of the books that I'm gonna be reading in 2024. Stay tuned for the full list, which will be coming out in December probably, so not for a while. So that is the end of the year book tag. I would love to know, what are your answers to these questions? Have you read any of the books I've talked about? What did you think? Let me know down in the comments. It has been great chatting with you. I will see you soon. Bye.